Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me again, another dragging video, honey. Let's get straight into it. We're only doing two stories today, but they are so good, okay? One is from Louis Vuitton, one is from Big H. Both are from the boutiques on Bond Street in London. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot that we need to talk about, so let's get started. All right, the first one is from Louis Vuitton in Bond Street in London. And the review is from Google. It's from 3 months ago. It goes as follows. Horrible customer service. They judge you based on how you look or maybe your complexion. I walked in with my husband last Saturday. About 4 to 5 people standing right in front of... Oh, no, about 4 to 5 people standing right in front, but none of them greeted us and simply ignored us. I wasn't there to be greeted, but still not a great feeling to be ignored. None of them even made eye contact. We looked around the store and decided I want to see a few handbags. I looked around for someone to assist. I was looking around for someone to assist me. I was looking like I needed help, but they all just passed by me. That's fine. They're not mind readers. I get it. Finally, I managed to approach one SA and asked for her to help. And as she was speaking to me, she stared me up and down. She directed me to another SA. From the 4 to 5 people who were looking at us when we walked in. The new SA, she was telling me I needed to enter my info for the queue, where she stared me up and down again. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. What is this? You can't shop here unless you look like billionaires with fancy clothes, bags, and jewelry. I've been to many designer boutiques around the world. This store is probably the worst one I've ever seen. Just in case someone thinks the way I dress might have been inappropriate. I was wearing a skirt, tights, a high neck shirt and a cardigan, and an Alexander McQueen bag, Cartier necklace, and 2 Tiffany rings. Maybe my $10 Zara scarf and a pair of Converse I was wearing weren't good enough for them. Or maybe because my cardigan wasn't Chanel and my tights weren't Gucci. For any reason, you simply can't stare another human being up and down. It doesn't matter if I'm homeless or a queen. I left the store feeling very unpleasant and didn't go back to shop there. Instead, we went to VCA, a couple of stores down. Everyone in that store was absolutely lovely, treated us with respect. We left the store feeling happy. I'd advised Louis Vuitton to add instructions on how to dress appropriately to not be treated disrespectfully. Looking at the low reviews of this boutique and seeing how many people left your store feeling horrible because of your incompetent staff. Okay, so a few things. First of all, the person who wrote this is a woman of color, so am I. I empathize with her feelings, trust me. I empathize. I really do. But I have told many of you this privately. I've told you guys this on my channel. I'm going to say it one more time. At the end of the day, in very touristy locations, okay? Please don't talk about how you turn up to your Louis Vuitton or Hermes boutique naked because they don't care how you're dressed, blah, blah, blah. We're not talking about your home store. Please don't talk about your home store in the comments. We're not talking about that, honey, and we do not care about that. We're talking about touristy locations, London, Paris, Rome, Tokyo, New York, touristy locations where there are a lot of tourists all the time and there's a lot of transient traffic, okay, through the flagships and department stores. In touristy locations, what I have found to be true is if you are very well dressed in those like touristy locations, you are treated better. She sounded like she was dressed well to me, but as someone who is very familiar with London, I lived in the UK for like more than a decade when I was studying, and I lived in London as well. Londoners are very stylish. Like, Londoners are proper stylish. I'm not saying she didn't look nice. She sounded like she looked nice to me. She sounded like she dressed better than I did when I went in January to Paris. But Londoners are very stylish, and they look great, and they look really good. And even a casual look, for someone who's from London and who's into fashion, they're going to look very polished and very put together. I think it's likely that they just walked in, the SAs made a judgment call, and I'm going to say this and you guys are going to be annoyed, but she mentioned here that she was wearing Converse. It was a Converse. Honestly, it was a Converse. Like, I can literally, I know people are going to drag me in these comments. Please don't drag me. I used to live in London. I'm not saying she has to wear a ball gown and a tiara at all to shop there, but they were looking her up and down. Remember how she said 2 essays looked her up and down? Remember, they always look at your shoes and they look at your jewelry, okay, and your watches or whatever. They saw those shoes, honey, and they were like, bye. And before you moan, I love Converse. Converse is great and fantastic. There's nothing wrong with Converse. I would happily wear Converse, and I happily have worn Converse many times. So don't moan and be like, oh, you're talking down on Converse. But they judged her shoes. They judged her shoes and decided they didn't want to sell her any items from the store. You have to understand that the Louis Vuitton on, I think this is New Bond Street, on Bond Street, that, like I said, that's a very touristy flagship or standalone boutique. I don't know if that's the flagship for the UK, but it is a very touristy location. So at the end of the day, they're going to have someone else. The moment her and her husband left to go to VCA, they forgot about her, boo-boo, and someone else came in and bought the leather bag that she wanted. Let me explain where I am coming from. I'm not someone who feels like, and I've said this before many times, I'm not someone who feels like the SA needs to bow down to me. I'm not that kind of person. I don't think that she is either. I think she had a reasonable expectation of being treated well. When they walked into the boutique, no one told them that they needed to get into the queue. They just assumed, the people saw them and assumed that they were not going to pick up any other items, so decided to just ignore them. They just thought, oh, they're just here walking around, looking, and have no plans on buying anything, so that's why they were not approached. I'm not saying it's right. I'm the kind of person, though, where the moment I walked in, if I was planning to buy something, I'm also someone who, even if I'm going to buy something at a flagship store, I still like to walk around on my own and look around before asking for help. That's just the nature of my personality. I don't mind, but I feel like because she said that she was looking around and then decided on handbags later. If the plan was to buy handbags from the beginning, and in order to ensure that you're treated well, when they walked in, the 4 to 5 people who were standing around, obviously SAs, looked at them, didn't say hello, didn't approach them. She should have just approached them. I know you're like, it's their job to approach her. You know, they should have approached her and her husband. I get it, but what I'm saying is, these days, luxury is just very different than it was a few years ago. I think a few years ago, they probably would have approached her, been like, hello, you know, can we help? But, you know, at the end of the day, it's the Louis Vuitton boutique on Bond Street. They're going to have a lot of traffic. There are going to be lots of clients. That the Bond Street boutique is not going to, you know, close today because she didn't buy a leather handbag from there. And I hope no one's offended. I'm not saying that the way she was treated was right. I just want to be clear where I stand. I've told all of you many times, in touristy locations, it does matter the way you're dressed. It does. Sorry. It does. And we all know it. We're not talking about, you know, your local boutique where you can walk in, you know, looking like a Cabbage Patch doll and no one cares, you know, oh, look, there's, you know, the client walking in and she looks like a Cabbage Patch doll, but she has a great profile at her local store. We're not talking about that. We're talking about touristy locations. And I'm not saying you should wear a ball gown, you know, in order, you know, to go to the store. But what I'm saying is I have found that when you dress better, you're treated better. I was thinking about all of my experiences of shopping in Paris throughout the years. And I literally realized all of the times when I was treated better, I looked really nice. And all of the times when I had bad experiences, because honestly, the experiences that I had in January 2022, December 2021 were not great experiences. Like the shopping experience at George Sang was not good, honey. It was a great experience. I really didn't enjoy shopping at the store. The shopping experience I had at Versace Avenue Montaigne wasn't great. The shopping experience I had at Versace Saint Honoré wasn't great. I couldn't even enter because I was like, oh, I want to buy this. They're like, no, we don't have it. It wasn't great. But also my outfits weren't great. You know, looking back, I'm like, no, my outfits were not Glamazon approved, honey. I was looking way too casual And the way shopping in Paris has become is it's so cutthroat and so competitive now. You know, I've already told you guys I have a bunch of trips planned for this first quarter of the year for Q1. So January, February, March, April, I'm going to have a bunch of trips, of course, including my European trip, which is coming up soon. And now I know way better, like I'm gonna look really nice when I go traveling in this first quarter of the year, when I go to luxury stores, because I just would rather have better treatment. I don't want to moan about it. It's a sign of the times of luxury shopping today. The experiences that I had in December 2021 and January 2022 in various luxury boutiques in Paris wasn't great. Even at FSH, there was one SA who was nice to me. There was another SA who I remember asking him a question about a fashion jewelry bracelet at the Faubourg location, and there was another client, okay, who was looking at Kelly Double Talk bracelets, and I swear he actually blanked me. If I had to choose and I was the SA, and I remember what I was wearing that day, which wasn't, you know, glamorous or stylish, and then there's another client who, she had this beautiful like fur coat on, and she was carrying the pochette métisse from Louis Vuitton. I mean, of course, I would want to work with that client because I believe that client has more money to spend, even though I was going to buy something. So I think you get what I'm saying. I don't hold it against the SA. I'm not angry at the SA. SA actually ignored me because I did ask a question, and I was actually there before. I'm just remembering now these experiences which I didn't talk about. I don't talk about every single luxury shopping experience. Like I said, there was one SA who was nice to me, and that was the SA who sold me the homewares at FSH when I bought my mugs and the plates and stuff. That SA was nice to me, and I was wearing the same outfit. I didn't look as nice. And then when I went downstairs to try and buy the fashion jewelry, I was blanked. I actually got blanked. So he blanked me, even though that she had arrived after me. He blanked me and opted to serve the better dressed client, okay? So I was like, okay. And then and it was funny, I remember telling my husband about it. My husband was like, but she sounds like she, he was like, I love you, my wife, but she sounds like she was the better dressed client. I was like, she was absolutely the better dressed client. She looked really, really nice with beautiful coat and the pochette métisse. And I was just there kind of just like, okay, So the point I'm making is in tourist locations, generally speaking, the people who are better dressed get better treatment. When you're better dressed, you get shown better items. That's something I remember when we went to Galeries Lafayette in 2014 when I bought my first pair of Thierry Lazary sunglasses. I remember the SA at the concession showing me like nicer Thierry Lazary sunglasses that were not on display. So they've been doing these games for a very, very, very long time. And I remember that day I was wearing this really beautiful, gold African print dress that my tailor had made for me. It was a kitenge style dress. Kitenge is a fabric from East Africa, and it was this really beautiful gold dress, and it was handmade. It was super beautiful. I remember lots of people gave me compliments in Paris whenever I wore it, and I wore it that day at Galeries Lafayette, and I was shown better items. So you can see you're shown better things when you look like a lot of money. Irrespective of how much you spend, you're even shown better things. So I'm not saying that she wasn't dressed well. She sounds to me like she was dressed well, and she sounds like, she looked, lovely and everything. But the essays just were like, this person's not going to spend any money. We can't be bothered to kind of just run around after her. She's not going to spend any money. And she kind of proved their point because she didn't buy anything. So in her mind, she's getting one up on Louis Vuitton. But as far as Louis Vuitton and Louis Vuitton's monogram wig is concerned, you've proved their point. Oh, we know that these people are walking in here. They have no intentions of buying anything. And we know that they're not going to buy anything. And that's really, I think that's kind of just like where things are going now. So I honestly, I'm there for Louis Vuitton. I'm not there to be friends with the SA. I don't need to be the SA's friend. I don't care about that. I would like to buy something, and I would like to, get that thing that I want. If I'm going into Louis Vuitton, I want to pick up some earrings, or I want to buy a few of the bits and pieces, I'm not going to let them run me out of Louis Vuitton. Now, that's a little bit different. There's no Louis Vuitton in Tanzania. So for me, I'm gonna be like, you're not gonna run me out of Big LV, honey. I am here. I'm gonna get my handbag, or I'm gonna get whatever thing I came to buy, and that's that. But that's me. I don't know about other people. I think other people might see it differently. That's kind of how I read the situation. So I'd love to know what you think about that one. I do think the way one looks in these very touristy locations, you are absolutely treated better when you're better dressed. At the fashion stores, I feel like the jewelry brands are very different. I think jewelry is very different because a lot of the times jewelry is very ornate. It has lots of diamonds, lots of gemstones in it. So people might come to the boutique looking very casual because they want to try on jewelry and imagine how it looks like on their wrist. People want to try on jewelry against neutral clothing, I think, as well. So if someone comes into Cartier or VCA or Chopard looking casual, that's not an indication of anything. It just means that they've come looking casual, but they might, buy a bunch of watches and buy a bunch of rings and bangles and stuff because they want to imagine how it looks like against a neutral palette, even if that isn't the clothing that they want. Okay, now let's move on to the next dragging story. But before we continue, please make sure that you're fully subscribed to my channel, hit notifications, go sign up to the email newsletter. If you have already done that, you should have gotten the newsletter by now, and also go join my Facebook group. It's so much fun. All right, the next one is from Hermes on New Bond Street in London. Shout out to everyone in the UK. Because I'm going to be featuring more UK dragging stories, because the British dragging stories are like top tier. Brits like let people know, like, oh my god, this happened, whatever. Okay, so the review is from Google of the Big H New Bond Street location. The perfect example of how not to treat repeat customers. I called in to the New Bond Street boutique 3 times over 2 days to confirm that I would be able to view the selection of Birkins in store and purchase additional accessories for both personal use and horse riding. I explained that I was driving 2 hours into London, so if they didn't have them, I wouldn't waste time traveling into the boutique and simply order the other stuff online. The people on the phone acknowledged this and told me to come in as they would be available for viewing. Upon arrival, after ascending the stairs, I was greeted by a concierge who told me that I would have to wait 2 hours for an essay to view anything. None of this had been told to me when I had called the boutique. I decided to roll with a disappointment as I had come all this way. I didn't want to leave empty-handed. The concierge took my details and told me to return in 2 hours for the viewing. 2 hours later, upon returning to the boutique, I was greeted by a new concierge who checked the waiting list, and my details had been deleted, telling me that I would have to wait another 2 hours for viewing or for assistance. Luckily, the first concierge was able to explain that we'd already been waiting. This helped to smooth things over. I was asked to go to one side and wait, and I did so. Eventually, I was assisted by the most arrogant, aloof SA, who on arrival essentially scanned me from head to toe while asking what I wanted. It's the same thing that happened in the first dragging story. Confused, I told him what I was looking for, and he smirkingly said they had no Birkins in stock to show. I explained again for the 5th time today that I had been assured multiple times I'd be able to view them, and his only answer was they didn't have anything in stock to view. I cannot with this brand. This ended it for me. The sheer lack of care and consideration for customers' time, the pure lies I've been told over the phone. I'm not laughing at her, I'm just laughing at the craziness of the situation. I promise, I'm not laughing at the person writing the review. The eventual rudeness of the final essay and the time wasted all for nothing. I didn't buy anything else and left. My relationship with Big H ends today. I'm tired of the fake demand, the runaround, the hoops you need to go through to view or simply buy anything. Today was a new low, being scanned head to toe, having some essay decide I'm not good enough to be a client. I'll take my money elsewhere. The saddest part is this isn't the first time I've been treated like this in Big H. It is, however, going to be the last. And then she added some pictures of some saddles. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Just to be clear, I'm not laughing at a client's disappointment. I myself was dragged at George Sank. I just told you guys for the first time sharing that story that I was actually ignored by another FSH essay I have had my own experiences with Big H. I've had good ones, but I've also had bad experiences too, okay? So don't panic and be like, oh, you're laughing at her. I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at the craziness that shopping at Big H has become today. First of all, though, I must say, I think she's a little bit naive. I think the person who wrote this review is a little bit naive. Everyone knows across the world, in every single boutique in the world, that Big H will never confirm inventory of leather items, let alone Birkin, Kelly, and Constance bags. The Constance is a quota bag in the UK, by the way, as well. So when she said she wanted to buy personal things and items for horse riding, obviously it sounds like she's someone who has a horse. That, you know, they're more than happy to take her money for equestrian. But even though Big H's roots are in equestrian, just because you are someone who shops from equestrian does not mean that you're going to supersede the wish list system in the UK. So if you don't know, the UK operates on a wish list system. The wish list system is very opaque. I have lots of subscribers who've told me they have scored quickly without picking up many items, maybe just buying like a perfume or like a lipstick. I have other subscribers who told me they have gone 3-to-1, 4-to-1 in the UK and have never been offered anything. So it is a different system. All of the Kelly bags in the UK are quota bags, so like the Kelly Dance, the Kelly Pochette, the Constance is a quota bag in the UK as well. It's a different system. You just wait it out on the wish list system. But after chatting to lots of people who live in London and who also shop, generally speaking, in the UK, because there is an Hermes location in Manchester as well, it is definitely a little bit more political than shopping in the US and shopping in Canada. There are a lot of you who shop at other locations and you're like, oh, I wish I was shopping in the UK. I wouldn't have to, show as much loyalty. Yeah, maybe, but it's definitely very political. Does the SA like you? Does the SA not like you? If the SA, the SAs there in the British boutiques tend to say, oh, we don't have any power, it's the wish, it comes on its own, whatever. But there are a few Brits who've told me, oh, I don't know if that's true, because people seem to have these really close connections with SAs and relationships with SAs, and then magically their bags, turn up because they're like really good friends of the SA, or they've chatted the SA up, or they've somehow befriended the SA, and then magically their wishes are fulfilled very quickly compared to other people. So it's a very opaque system. We can chat about the UK wish list system in another video if you guys want me to. But just because she was coming to buy horse riding stuff does not entitle her to buying a Birkin, number one, let alone seeing a Birkin. Yes, Big H comes from an equestrian background. Yes, Thierry Hermes was running around making saddles for people, but guess what, boo-boo? That was 1837. We're in 2023 today, honey. And while equestrian, they still do that, it's not like the core business that they do anymore. And we know that their core business is leather goods. And some would say their actual business is selling other items and not their leather goods, okay? I feel for her. Driving 2 hours into London with London traffic does not sound like a good time. But if she is a Big H client, she knows better than to ask them to confirm inventory of Birkin, Kelly, or Constance bags on the phone, in my opinion. And if she didn't know better, now she knows for sure. They will never confirm inventory on the phone. They just don't do it for the quota bags. They don't. And whomever told her on the phone was just telling her to get her into the boutique so that she would buy the horse riding bits and bobs. But they had no intention of showing her the Birkin, Kelly, or Constance, whatever. I think also this is someone who maybe has never created a wish at the UK stores, because in the review she says she called to confirm that she'd be able to view the selections of Birkins in store. Well, that's not really how Birkin shopping works, boo-boo. In any part of the world, wish list or not, you don't call to say, hello, I would like to see all the pink, I love pink. I love to see all the pink Birkins in the Cellier and Raton styles. They're going to look at you like you have a cone on your head. Like, are you mad? Okay. Are you actually mad? No. I think, okay. And I want to kind of give people benefit of the doubt. Maybe the person didn't know, but everyone who shops at Big H, particularly now because there's social media, we have groups. You can join my Facebook groups, link below. Forums, TikTok, Instagram. Everyone who shops from Big H knows that they don't discuss leather inventory on the phone. And if you don't know, now you know. If you didn't know while you're watching this, do not ever call a Big H boutique and ask them if they have a Birkin in the store. They will tell you they do not have anything, even if they have 12 of them in the back. Okay. I think that actually when she called to ask if she could view Birkins, the selection of Birkins at the boutique, I think that they actually decided they weren't going to sell her any, like they were going to just make her life difficult. They wanted to make her life a little bit difficult. You know, she's been told wait for 2 hours. I hate waiting. I'm very prompt. Most of the time I'm quite prompt and I do things on time. I would really, really hate waiting for 2 hours, even if it's Bond Street, particularly if I'm just going to Hermes to shop and pick up items and buy things. That would really annoy me, to be completely honest with you. I'll be very, very, very irritated and annoyed to wait for 2 hours. So I can completely empathize with her there. And then when she talks about how she was then assisted by a really arrogant SA who scanned her from head to toe. We're going to call this luxury Prometheus scanning. They're like, SAs have become like androids, okay? And they're like scanning you from head to toe, making a call in their brain. Does this person have money to spend today? Because I feel like a lot of these SAs, they want to figure out how much money you have to spend today. They're not even so much trying to figure out if you are rich or not. That's not the issue. They're like, how much money does this person have to spend today? Do you have money to spend today? Yes or no? And obviously this person is wealthy. She's obviously wealthy. She's got horses and can afford to pay for saddles from Big H and whatnot. When she says she was confused, and she was telling him what she was looking for, and he smirkingly said, quote, they had no Birkins in stock to show. They don't, I mean, he's smirking because obviously he knows they do have Birkins and Kellys. They probably have them on display. That's the painful thing, to see them being displayed. You know, they had no Birkins in stock to show. Boy, you had Birkins, okay? You had lots of Birkins. I explained again for the 5th time today that I've been assured multiple times I'll be able to view them. His answer was again, they didn't have any stock to show. They don't have stock to show. They're the ones who own like the right to sell Birkins on New Bond Street, Big H, with their own boutique. They're telling you, boo-boo, they do not have any Birkins to show. You have to accept that, and that is not a good feeling. So let's talk about her experience now and just kind of analyze it a little bit. I think I can see my cat on the door there. My kind of view on this is basically just what I have said while we were going through the dragging review, but I want to kind of just chat about one element of the story that I think is super interesting. I think, because I'm a cynic, I'm a very cynical person, I think that they were maybe a little bit annoyed at this client, because everyone who shops in the UK knows that the UK operates on a wish for all of the quota bags at Hermes. So as I said, the UK quota bags at Hermes are as follows: Birkin, Kelly, Constance. Those are 3 wish list bags, meaning they're quota bags. They're not walk-in bags. And then all of the bags within the Kelly family. So the mini Kelly, obviously, the Kelly pochette, the Kelly dance, Kelly cut. Okay. So I think that they felt like she was trying to jump the queue, maybe, if that makes sense. Like, on the phone, you are someone who's familiar with Big H's equestrian roots and their equestrian products, saddles and horse riding and personal things. And you shop at Big H because she's not a new client. She says at the top of the review that she's a repeat customer, but you don't know about the wish system and you live in the UK and you're British. I think that maybe the Big H SA who was smirking and being nasty and looking up and down was probably thinking, girl, you're trying to jump the queue. No, you can wait like everyone else and be on the wish list system. Now, I'm not saying her treatment was right, because I always get, in my own dragging videos, I get dragged by people because people always think, oh, you're always defending the brands. I'm not defending the brands at all. I'm just saying that all of us luxury shopping, particularly in touristy locations, you have to understand that unless you're someone who maybe shops there often and you spend phenomenal sums of money each time that you go shopping, these brands don't really care, because that SA doesn't care, because the SA knows that tomorrow there'll be someone else calling to ask to try on Birkins and to see the selection. There's something super interesting in her review. She says, quote, she wanted to, quote, view the selections of Birkins in the store. View the selections of Birkins as if it's a supermarket and they bring them out to you. And we all know that is not the way Birkin, Kellys and Constances are offered. They're not offered like that. We know that. We know the 3-quarter bags are not offered like, you know, you can view the selection that they have. What do you mean the selection? They have many quota bags have already been pre-allocated to clients, and also in the UK wish list system is completely different. Even in America or Canada or China or Singapore or Thailand, you wouldn't be able to walk in and view all of the ones that they have available for sale. There'll be others which have been allocated to other clients. There'll be others which maybe someone walked in and, you know, went 4-to-1 and was able to leave with a BKC that day. I think that this person knows a lot more about Big H than she's letting on in the review. And I know that's an unpopular opinion. I'm sure she's a nice person, but she knows very well that you cannot go and view a selection of Birkins at any Big H boutique. And before you say, oh, maybe she wanted to view them, to try them on but not buy them. Stop. We all know that she wanted to buy one. We all want to buy one. We all want to buy a Birkin or Kelly or Constance bag. She wanted to buy one. She got dragged, okay? Big H dragged her, boo-boo, okay? They put her on a horse and carriage and she got dragged. I'm not saying it was right for her to get dragged, but she did. And it sucks. It's not nice. I'm remembering my bad FSH experience now with that guy ignoring me. I never talked about it because I'm not, I don't know. I hope I never come across like a moaner, like someone who always moans about life, like constantly moaning and complaining. That's not really my thing, and that's not how I want to come off. And honestly, I wasn't even really offended because I didn't look particularly great that day. I wasn't giving glamazon vibes, honey. So I was like, you know what? Fair play, mate. You went to the client who you thought was going to spend more because they look nicer. I'm not offended, you know? I would love to know what you think about both of these dragging stories. I'm obsessed with both of these stories because they're so fascinating to me. Like the first theme from the Louis Vuitton New Bond Street location about the SA scanning her up and down, 2 of them looking her up and down like, you don't have any money, boo-boo, you're not gonna buy anything, I'm done with you. In fact, tell her to leave right now, okay? And then this second story of the client calling Big H on Bond Street, asking them if they have, she wants to view the selection of Birkins available and pick up horse riding bits and pieces as well. Girl, this New Bond Street location has been dragged so hard, like so hard on Google reviews. This was like, that was honestly, out of all the dragging videos I've ever done, this is one of the most shocking ones that I have ever done because I was quite shocked at the detail. I think that she is being honest that what happened to her did happen, that she was told. I do actually believe she was told that there are Birkins available for her to view. I believe that, but I believe the person who said that made a mistake or was just trying to get her to the store so that they can sell the equestrian items. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, Hermes is Hermes. You know, if you make like a statement that you are departing from Hermes and you're leaving Hermes and you're never going to shop from Hermes again, Hermes still going to put her wig on tomorrow and jump on horseback and still live a great life. Big H is not affected because the brand is so, particularly at the moment because of social media, the brand is so hot on social media. I've already told you guys about all of Hermes's untapped markets in Latin America and Africa and the West Indies. There's so many parts of the world that Hermes hasn't even reached or touched. This brand is gonna do what she's gonna do. She's gonna do whatever she wants to do. This is why I always tell you guys, don't put Big H on a pedestal, because when you do, painful things like this happen and then people feel bad and people are like, oh, I'm gonna take my money elsewhere. But then you then have to kind of start from scratch at a new brand. Maybe it's Louis Vuitton, maybe it's Chanel. And even Chanel and Louis Vuitton, honey, they have their hierarchies. You know, if you don't buy Louis Vuitton leathers or luggage pieces or exotics or pret-a-porter or fine jewelry, Louis Vuitton's tired. Chanel's the same thing. You need to buy their ready-to-wear. You need to buy their fine jewelry. You need to buy their watches. Every brand has their thing, you know. So I'd love to know what you guys think about both of these dragging stories. I would love to hear your points of view. Like I said, I'm not laughing at the people. I'm smiling at the absurdity of how crazy luxury shopping has become today. Luxury shopping is so competitive now. Everything is a competition. Who can spend the most money at the store? And who can show like the most loyalty quickly, and who can be treated better, who gets offered drinks, who doesn't. You know, it's become very competitive. You know, I feel like we're also entering this era of like luxury champagne wars. Who gets offered champagne at luxury boutiques and who doesn't. You know, I can't lie, like I would like to be offered something to drink at Versace. I would like to be offered something to drink at LV and Cartier and Chanel and Cartier and all these places when I go. I would like to be offered something to drink at all these places. And in fact, the only place that ever offered me something to drink was Louis Vuitton at the Champs-Élysées. That's how badly dragged I was, okay? But I have learned my lesson. Only nice clothes for me here on out when I go luxury shopping. I've learned my lesson, so I'm looking forward to all of my trips. All of my trips are coming up in this first quarter of the year, so if you love travel content, please make sure you stick around. And also make sure you go join my email newsletter. It's linked below, and my Facebook group. If you have joined my email newsletter, I announced a huge announcement just for email subscribers. So make sure you go join the email newsletter, like I said, and also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Go follow my TikTok because I'm going to be resurrecting my TikTok now. I have like a plan to kind of increase my TikTok followers. I want to get 10,000 TikTok followers this year. I have 1,100 something. So please go join me on TikTok. It would really help me because I'd love to see you guys there. And of course, Instagram. Instagram, honestly, my Instagram. My husband was looking at my luxury Instagram and he's like, you don't even have 1,000 followers. Like, you need to get your act together. Like, my husband is like so critical of my luxury social media pages and stuff. So please go support my luxury Instagram page as well, so I can be like, woo, new people followed me. I really hope that you like these dragging videos. Would you like to see more of them? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon in my next video.